King Von was fundamentally a black disciple. O Block, 64th and King Drive, is Chicago's most hazardous block.
They got the rapculture, O Block, 3rd, 64th, like everybody would want to go over there because my brother, like, he the real GOAT.
New footage of his own mother surrounded by alleged Gangster Disciples members just hit the internet, and people are calling it the ultimate contradiction to everything Von represented. This is the situation involving King Von's mom and the GDs. Let's break down what's really behind that viral clip and why it sent social media into a frenzy. The video and the backlash. The clip spread fast across X, TikTok, and Instagram. The footage showed Tisa Bennett, King Von's mother, inside clubs, dancing, posing for pictures, and mingling. Images started circulating everywhere. One post from @AmmyMixtape featured Tisa in a tight brown bodysuit with gold boots, captioned about her stepping out in her 50s, ready to party. That single upload racked up more than 11,000 likes and over 2 million views. But listen to this, the real focus wasn't her outfit. People were locked in on the individuals standing beside her. Individuals on the internet were quickly labeled as gangster disciples based on tattoos, hand signs, and alleged affiliations. By late 2025 and early 2026, rumors began spreading that Tisa was either dating or closely socializing with a GD member. Fans kept repeating the same question. How could she be around GDs when her son died representing BD? To grasp why that question hit so hard, you have to understand who King Von truly was. King Von, born Davon Daquan Bennett on August 9, 1994, was a Chicago rapper tied to the Black Disciples, specifically from O Block on the South Side. O Block carries the name of O.D. Perry, a fallen BD member. Von's music constantly referenced gang rivalries, especially tensions with the Gangster Disciples. The BD-GD conflict spans decades. Lives have been lost on both sides. Von's entire public persona was deeply connected to that reality. Then Von was shot and killed on November 6, 2020, at just 26 years old during an altercation outside an Atlanta nightclub. He left behind 3 children, a catalog of records, and a mother now carrying his legacy in the spotlight. Tisa Bennett is that mother. She raised Von in Chicago. She watched him get locked up. She watched him return home and transition into rap. She saw him sign with Lil Durk's Only the Family label and drop records like Crazy Story. She was present when he was acquitted in a murder case. His sister, Kayla B., later shared memories of sitting inside that courtroom. Kayla said she believed her brother would walk free just by observing how witnesses testified. And then, after all that, after Von's death, after the tributes, after the posthumous projects, the footage surfaced showing his mother near alleged GD members. The internet didn't pause for nuance, it reacted instantly. Tisa eventually addressed the situation. She denied any romantic relationship with a GD and made it clear her private life had nothing to do with gang affiliations. She said she was focused on healing and moving forward. But by then, public opinion had already formed. The clips were everywhere, the narratives were set, and Tisa Bennett was suddenly in the middle of a debate she never asked for. To understand why those images carried so much weight, you have to understand the decades-long conflict they symbolize, and that conflict stretches back more than 50 years. The battle between the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples. The BD-GD rivalry isn't just rap drama. It's a generational conflict rooted in Chicago's South Side long before drill music ever existed. And that history is the lens through which people are judging Tisa Bennett's actions. It traces back to the 1960s. Chicago's industrial backbone was collapsing. Factories were shutting down. Steel mills were drying up. Black families who had migrated to the South Side during the Great Migration were left dealing with unemployment and systemic exclusion. Housing covenants prevented black residents from buying property in certain areas. Banks engaged in redlining, refusing loans in predominantly black neighborhoods. Young black men
feeling unprotected and overlooked by a city that offered little opportunity, began forming street groups for survival.
All of this going on at the time, it's safe to say that no one was really looking out for the best interests of the black community in Chicago.
From those harsh conditions, a group emerged that would eventually become known as the Disciples, later evolving into the Devil's Disciples. One of the early figures at the center of it all was a teenage leader named David Barksdale, better known on the streets as King David. Yeah, David Barksdale carried that King David title with weight and influence. Kingvon reportedly claimed he was the grandson of David Barksdale, founder of the Black Disciples, a statement that made his connection to the BD identity feel even more personal and layered. Meanwhile, in 1964, another group of young men gathered inside the home of Larry Hoover and made a decision that would shift Chicago's history, forming what they called the Supreme Gangsters.
Barksdale was famously referred to as King David.
They noticed they were seated directly on the edge of enemy territory as they observed the hustlers through a window. They thereby asserted their own block.
Who would later go on to be the GDs or Gangster Disciples, starts in 1964 when a group of young men all met in the home of a man named Larry Hoover.
At first, the Supreme Gangsters and the Disciples weren't enemies at all. But as David Barksdale expanded his movement into what became the Black Disciple Nation, tensions started rising, and the two sides eventually clashed. Here's the twist. They actually joined forces in 1969 under one banner called the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. With Larry Hoover and Barksdale sharing leadership, that uneasy alliance survived for about 5 years, until Barksdale died in September 1974, connected to an earlier gunshot wound.
That they wanted to start their own crew and take over the block.
The loyalty to David Barksdale among his followers ran so deep that Larry Hoover couldn't hold the unity together. Members broke away and rebuilt the Black Disciples as a separate force. And what came next was straight-up civil war. The BDs and GDs, once aligned under the same structure, turned into sworn enemies. That conflict never truly ended. During the crack epidemic of the 1980s, both factions fought brutal battles over control of Chicago's drug trade. The GDs were rumored to control a $100 million a year cocaine operation out of housing projects like Robert Taylor Homes and Cabrini Green. The BDs operated from what they called the Castle, a headquarters purportedly pulling in as much as $300,000 a day. Both organizations recruited teenagers to serve as foot soldiers. The violence became non-stop, deeply personal, and painfully cyclical. Every killing sparked another in return.
King David's death, it seemed like many members stopped respecting Larry Hoover's leadership, and ultimately leading members to disrespect the Supreme Gangster side.
What the locals had been going through for years was captured by the news cameras.
Housing Authority is $30 million in debt. The building codes are not being enforced, and the elevators, when they work, are called the most dangerous form of public transportation in Chicago.
The level of violence inside those housing projects was almost unimaginable. In a single year, Cabrini Green saw roughly 200 people shot or stabbed, translating to 8 violent crimes per 100 residents. And right in the middle of that bloodshed were the GDs and BDs battling for turf, drug money, and respect. By the 1990s, federal authorities began taking both organizations apart from the top. Larry Hoover faced new charges after investigators wiretapped a visitor's badge used by associates who reportedly received instructions from him behind bars. He was transferred to a supermax prison in Colorado, effectively cutting him off from direct street communication. On the BD side, high-ranking member Robert Allen cooperated in 1998 after admitting to distributing over 220 pounds of crack, triggering 21 new indictments against BD affiliates. When projects like Robert Taylor Homes were demolished in the early 2000s, members from both factions were dispersed into different neighborhoods, reshaping alliances. The old centralized command structures weakened. In their place emerged smaller, unpredictable street sets, claiming single blocks and feuding with whoever occupied the next one, regardless of historic loyalties. That rebranding happened after O.D. Perry was killed. O-Block rose as one of the most recognized BD sets in the country, amplified by artists like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and eventually Kingvon. Across the way, GD sets such as STL, later called Tocqueville, and EBT at 64th and Eberhard, considered O-Block's primary rivals. The drill era transformed these neighborhood conflicts into global content. DJ Academics chronicled the violence on his War in Chirac platform. Noisy's Welcome to Chirac series spotlighted the musical side of it. Audiences consumed the rivalries like episodic drama, except the stakes were real lives being lost. This was the climate that molded an entire generation, including Kingvon. So when people saw Tessa Bennett in those clips and reacted with outrage, this is the layered history they were thinking about, even if they didn't fully grasp it. The BD-GD divide isn't theoretical in Chicago. It's embedded in bloodlines, street corners, and cemeteries. For someone like Kingvon, it was the axis his world revolved around. Kingvon's position in that conflict matters. He wasn't a distant observer of the BD-GD war. He was directly involved, and that conflict shaped his lyrics, his reputation, and ultimately the direction of his brief life. That background explains why footage of his mother near alleged GD members sparked such intense reactions online. Von grew up in Parkway Gardens, the housing complex younger BDs renamed O-Block in honor of O.D. Perry. Between June 2011 and June 2014, that single block recorded 19 shootings, earning a reputation as one of Chicago's most dangerous. Across 63rd Street with GD sets like STL, later Tocqueville, and EBT at 64th and Eberhard, considered O-Block's primary rivals. Von's alleged connection to the violence became prominent in 2014. At 19, he was implicated in the fatal shooting of 17-year-old Gakira Barnes, known as K.I., a GD affiliate from STL, who was rumored to have been involved in multiple killings, including, according to street accounts, O.D. Perry's death. Police questioned Von as a person of interest, but inconsistencies in witness statements prevented charges then. However, unsealed Chicago police documents released in 2021 later identified him as her alleged shooter. His sister, Kayla B.H., acknowledged knowing about those reports, while making it clear she would not confirm any claims regarding her brother's alleged actions.
Only structure is provided by the gangs, who marked their turf with spray paint and set up sniper posts in high-rise buildings.
She resisted the ostentatious pinning of cases on Von.
Video or something, like, how y'all know my brother did that? If it ain't no video, he ain't did shit.
Kayla made it apparent that her brother's name shouldn't be used as a repository for unresolved issues.
But that's not my brother, he ain't did shit. Let him rest.
The rivalry only escalated once drill music exploded onto the scene. Kingvon exchanged open taunts with GD-affiliated rapper FBG Duck from the Tocqueville side. Duck's 2020 track Dead Bitches directly mocked fallen O-Block members by name. According to FBI records and court filings, Von allegedly put a bounty on Duck that started at $50,000 and was later increased to $100,000. On August 4, 2020, Duck was shot and killed in Chicago's Gold Coast area. In January 2024, 6 O-Block BD affiliates were convicted on federal racketeering charges connected to that murder. Just 3 months after Duck's death, Von himself was killed in Atlanta during a confrontation involving Quando Rondo's crew. The shooter, Timothy Leaks, later spoke about the incident in an interview with DJ Vlad.
Or you pull out and you shoot 4 times. Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed.
Yeah.
Lil Tim claimed the weapon malfunctioned after the 3rd shot.
After the 4th shot, probably like the 3rd shot.
Okay. He was then struck twice by responding police officers at the scene.
What parts of the body?
I got shot in my right hip bone and it went in and out.
His injuries required significant medical treatment, but the interviewer continued pressing about the ordeal.
Okay, so this is now the second time you've been shot.
All charges against Leaks were dismissed in August 2023 under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law after prosecutors concluded he acted in self-defense. Von's sister, Kayla B., was present in the parking lot that night. She didn't witness the shooting itself, but she heard the gunfire. What followed was a chain of phone calls that unraveled her reality piece by piece.
I'm in the car with my friends and my brothers, and we just talking, and we heard gunshots. We broke up.
Her driver hesitated. The car didn't immediately move. Everything around them was chaos, shots ringing out, people running, bodies dropping.
So my driver pulls out, and then he stops. He's up. So now we see what's going on, like the shooting.
Once the shock faded slightly, Kayla started making calls. She called her brother first. No answer. Then she called her cousin, Bonnie, who answered and said Von had been shot once but was okay.
For real? I still go crazy. And so that's when everybody called me and they were saying he was good.
She tried to calm herself. She stayed awake until 7 a.m., eventually falling asleep believing he would recover.
So I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna stress it. But I stayed up till like 7 in the morning. I ain't getting no sleep.
Then came another call.
Then I wake back up. This cousin called me like, he's gone. I see that on the internet. I went crazy.
That documented grief is what sits behind every discussion about King Von's legacy. Fans often interpret the BD-GD conflict through songs and viral clips. Tessa Bennett and Kayla B. experience it through early morning calls confirming a son and brother is gone. This is the reality Tessa Bennett lived in. Her son was caught in a conflict that claimed friends, enemies, and eventually him. Every reaction to that viral footage was filtered through this specific history, one written in court documents and funerals. Tessa Bennett, a mother forced into public view. She never chose the spotlight. Her son's fame and death pushed her there. Since then, she's navigated it with visible grief, resilience, and a refusal to disappear. To understand her beyond a viral clip, you have to look at the full story. She raised Von in one of America's most violent neighborhoods. Von's father, Walter E. Bennett, known as Silk, spent much of Von's childhood incarcerated and was killed when Von was 11. In a documentary-style TikTok interview, Tessa spoke openly about losing him and how that impacted her oldest son. She described feeling upset, angry, and disappointed all at once because it was her first child's father and he wouldn't see his son grow up. The absence of that father figure weighed heavily on her and influenced the path Von eventually took in the streets. When Von's rap career began to rise, Tessa was supportive but reportedly disapproved of his continued gang ties. In one viral clip, she was seen confronting him about his affiliations, trying to guide him away from the life that later claimed him. Kayla B. also spoke about their mother's complex personality and generational differences in her own interview.
She is kind of stuck in her ways. A lot of people say we act alike, so maybe that's the reason. She still wants to be young and stuff.
Kayla didn't sugarcoat her view of their mom's personality. She basically said, hold up, she can be stubborn, set in her ways, and sometimes unmoving when it comes to her kids. In her words, that kind of rigidity isn't always what children need from a mother. After King Von passed, Tish's visibility only grew stronger. She stepped in to protect his legacy, shut down rumors, and mark anniversaries with heartfelt tributes. On the 3rd anniversary of his death, she posted a message through his official Instagram account. She wrote that they all miss him deeply, but are thankful for the memories and the music he left behind. She said his impact on their lives was massive and unforgettable. In a later interview clip, she was asked what she missed most about Von, and listen to this. Her answer had nothing to do with fame or chart numbers. It was raw and personal. She said she missed the way he would tilt his head, smile, and kiss her while saying, "I love you, Ma." But Tessa made it clear she would not be boxed into the role of a grieving mother forever. She stayed active online, sharing her outfits, trips, and nightlife moments. Her bold style and youthful energy sent her viral more than once, with some applauding her confidence. Others criticized her, saying a woman in her 50s shouldn't move like that. When trolls came for her over-revealing outfits, she clapped back bluntly. She basically said, "Girl, it's just shorts and a body." When an AI-generated image surfaced showing her at Von's gravesite, she shut it down immediately. She said it wasn't real and she didn't find it funny at all. Then the GD footage surfaced. By late 2025 and early 2026, rumors spread that she was dating or hanging around someone tied to the Gangster disciples. Clips and photos showed her in social settings with men, online commentators labeled as GD affiliates. And you already know what happened next. The internet reduced a layered human being into a headline. Suddenly, she was either betraying her son's memory or simply living her life freely. There was no middle ground. Tisha addressed it head-on and called the claims false. She made it clear she was not involved with any GD member and refused to let gang politics dictate her private life, even the politics that shaped her son's world. The irony is that Von himself was known for generosity, warmth, and fierce loyalty to family. Kayla spoke extensively about that softer side that existed beyond drill lyrics and street narratives. She explained how once the money came in, he quietly helped people without broadcasting it. She even said there were countless situations where he supported others that the public will never know about. She added that he truly loved his guys like little brothers. His crew admired him so much that they called him Pops, which says everything. That nickname reflected the fatherly role he played, despite being in his mid-20s. People around him were genuinely excited when he leveled up because they knew he would make sure everyone was good. Von made sure Kayla was provided for. He made sure his mother was secure. He ensured his children and the mothers of his kids had what they needed. Kayla once shared that he snapped a candid photo of her when she wasn't even paying attention. Later, he told her she would have everything she ever wanted. She recalled him saying, "Shorty's gonna have everything she ever wanted," and he meant it. That's the man Tessa Bennett raised. That's the son she buried. And now the same internet that glorifies his street image and streams his music daily feels entitled to dictate how his mother grieves and who she can stand next to. So why did it go viral, and what does it really mean? The clip of Tisha Bennett near the alleged Gangster disciples didn't explode because of what was visible. It exploded because of the meaning people assigned to it. It touched gang loyalty, generational trauma, gender expectations, and the way hip-hop culture turns real pain into trending content. First layer, gang loyalty. In Chicago's drill culture, affiliation is treated like a lifelong inheritance. Kingvon built his brand around being BD from O-Block. His music openly embraced that identity. His beef with FBG Duck and tensions with GD sets on 63rd were tied directly to it. So when fans saw his mother near alleged GD members, they framed it as a betrayal of everything he stood for. But that reaction reveals something uncomfortable about fan culture. People consume the BD-GD conflict like a TV series, memorizing names and incidents while expecting real families to live by those rules forever. Tisha Bennett is not in a gang. She is a mother who lost her son to violence. Expecting her to honor invisible street boundaries for the rest of her life shows how deeply this narrative has embedded itself in public thinking. Second layer, gender and age. Tisha's viral moments have consistently been filtered through judgment about how she looks and behaves. When she posted fitted outfits, people told her to act her age. When she went out dancing, critics questioned her priorities. When a twerking clip went viral with millions of views, reactions ranged from praise to outrage. The GD footage amplified that scrutiny. It wasn't just about alleged rivals, it was about her being visible and unapologetic about living. Many expected her to grieve quietly forever. Third layer, the ripple effect of Von's death.